Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 13 of the Fantasy Facts podcast. As always, I'm here with my co-host
We're at
David.
13 already? Dang, bro.
Wow,
We've been
David
putting
didn't
the
even let
work
me
in.
finish the intro.
Sorry, it's crazy.
We're off to a rough start tonight.
Pumping out the content.
Yeah, episode 13. First mock draft episode. David and I are fired up for that. Really looking forward to giving you guys an insight into a little draft strategy, how we operate in the draft room, all those types of things. So really looking forward to that. As always, these episodes are dropping on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. We're the Fantasy Facts Podcast. We are over on X at the Fantasy Facts, TikTok and Instagram, fantasy.facts. As always, facts is spelled F-A-X. I'm actually going to turn the floor over to you first, David. David's got some news that he kind of hinted at on our last episode, and we're going to kind of share more broadly what that is. And it's mostly going to be under David's domain while I'm focused mostly on hosting the podcast. So I'm going to let him speak to it, and it's something that we're pretty excited about to do in addition to the podcast. So take it away, David.
Yeah, so we're going to be launching it's what's known as a very, very creative name of fantasy.facts. Well, the Instagram handle is going to be fantasy.facts.cards. It's already created. But we're going to be buying, selling, auctioning off cards over time. It'll be more and more available for you guys. As we speak, I probably have 2,000 sports cards around me. And so in various ways, we'll be getting those out. I think to start, it'll be more local, but hopefully we can get that stuff started where we can ship for you guys as it grows a little bit. But yeah, go give that a follow on Instagram, working on getting other socials up. But hopefully you guys have interest.
Will you drop the social one more time?
Yeah, fantasy.facts, F-A-X .cards. It'll be linked, or the account is linked in the bio of our podcast account, and vice versa. So it should be easy to find either. Like I said, just starting it out, but it'll get a little bit more finalized and more information about how we're going to handle things as we get into it.
Yeah. When David says cards, he's obviously referring to sports cards. I hope that's obvious. He did a very
We're gonna sell.
he did a very
Hallmark
minimalistic
cards.
he did a very minimalistic reveal, considering how excited he is about it and how much he won't shut up about it to me off camera. And I mean that in a nice way. He's very excited about it. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing some work with sports cards and collectible, cards. So it's a really fun market. I know a lot of people who are interested in fantasy football are interested in David's previewing one of the cards right there, LeBron James card. Obviously, going to have a lot of football cards as well. But yeah, we know that a lot of people who are interested in sports in general, are playing fantasy sports, are interested in sports collectibles, all that type of stuff. So we're hoping that we can kind of be a one-stop shop for some collectible stuff as well as some fantasy football information and fun stuff like that. So really excited to do both of those things kind of simultaneously. Please go ahead and follow us over on, are we just on Instagram right now, David? But I'm assuming we'll branch out to the other platforms.
To TikTok, probably we'll do some streaming on there once we get in. Whatnot, we'll be on Whatnot for sure. Honestly,
yeah, that's
once we
that's
get
what I was
into
going to allude to. You want to get connected with these mock draft, or with these mock drafts, with these social media pages. If you have interest in sports collectibles and sports cards, because that's where you're going to be able to buy them from us, or bid on them when we do auctions and things like that. So
and we are happy to buy. Happy to
you're not
buy
going to
from
know
you
what
guys.
we have and what we're selling if you're not connected over there. And then, as David said, we'll also be always looking for a deal. So we might be interested in purchasing things that you have as well. And so
we'll gladly just say buy in bulk or individual cards. So if you guys have anything that you don't want, just shoot us a DM and I'll be happy to talk to you and potentially make an offer. And then the other thing is, if we're able to grow it into a big enough thing, hopefully expand past just cards and into some other sports memorabilia as well. I already have some of that stuff, but need to get sort of a solid foundation before we're able to be selling bigger things like that. So, yeah, just check it out. And like I said, shoot us a DM if you have anything. And otherwise, keep an eye out for some stuff on the market like this Drake May rookie card.
Yeah, sounds great. Looking forward to it. Unfortunately, guys, ESPN sucks. We were going to, unless ESPN wants to sponsor us, then ESPN's awesome. Um, that was a joke, and David didn't laugh, so it didn't hit
Me
very
and Drew
well.
have a little beef with the, I think it's defunct now. I think they're shutting it down, but the NFL fantasy page, if you guys use that, or I think it's defunct, like I said now, but if you still use that, get the frick off that crap. Use a different app. That thing sucks. They came at us on Instagram about 3 years ago. We were just starting up. We weren't even a podcast yet. We were just posting fantasy football information like rankings. And me being the doofus I was at the time, I spelled DK Metcalf's name wrong in a post on our post for the rankings. Then I commented on their post and said something that probably wasn't very nice about them not knowing what they were talking about.
Well, because their rankings were garbage, of course.
They were. But they then went on to our account, which probably had 30 followers at the time, went to one of our posts, scrolled to like the second or third page where I spelled Metcalf wrong, and then went back on their post and responded and said like strong words from someone that doesn't know how to spell Metcalf. So that says all you need to know about a account that has a big following coming at a little creator account, you know. We got beef with you, Co. Get out here.
But yeah, ESPN, if you want to sponsor us, we're down. But we did want to do our mock draft over on ESPN. That's where our League of Record is hosted. And there's no way to do a mock draft on ESPN with both of us in the room where we actually have enough time to talk and walk you through our draft strategy and do all that stuff. The timer's very, very short. It's locked in at that. Can't change it, can't adjust it. Even if you do a draft with AI instead of real people, it's just there's no customizability. So, unfortunately, we're gonna have to pivot to Sleeper today. We're gonna be doing a 10-team half PPR mock over on Sleeper.
I'm gonna say if you are like starting your fantasy league for the first year, do it on Sleeper. It's just better, I think. I think the reason we haven't is because
how are we gonna get ESPN to sponsor us, David? I just said they suck. Now you're telling people not to use them.
I'm saying customization.
Sleeper, we love you.
Sleeper clears. Sleeper's awesome. I've been kind of campaigning to move our main league onto Sleeper because I think it's a lot better. But I think Drew's concerned about getting everybody to switch over to it after it's been on ESPN for like 6 years.
6 years, not even, dude. I know you weren't in the league from the beginning, dude, but I think this year officially marks a decade on that league. So yeah, it's been on ESPN for a decade.
Yeah, bro, I was like 11 when you started that crap. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna move for that reason. I kind of like having. I
actually do kind of like.
I kind of like having
different.
the league of record, like the league I care about the most, in its own separate little home, away from all my other leagues.
It's way easier to like get to quickly, I'd say, than when you go on Sleeper and you have all your other stuff.
For sure. But
and
I actually do like. I actually do like
how old he is. Friggin' decade.
Come on, we don't have to do that.
You 40 yet, dude?
Not even 30. What was I gonna say? You cut me off just to tell me that I'm old, apparently. I actually like the ESPN interface once you're in season. But I think that their draft stuff could use a lot of overhaul.
It is a little better than it used to be. At least they have like a draft board on it now. That didn't even used to exist, but
yeah. And Sleeper used to be, and Sleeper's, I mean, It's so customizable. It's great.
And Sleeper's
I do
already
all my other
evolving.
leagues
Like,
on Sleeper. It's where our Dynasty League is housed. Shout
yeah,
out to Sleeper. I think they're
they're
kind of the
very
ones that
versatile
almost
too.
created the Dynasty format.
They have
Um,
fantasy stuff. They have you can bet right on Sleeper on stuff. They have like mini stuff. Like they have all kinds of stuff. It's really versatile.
and my
Sleeper's
dad's
the
league is
goat.
still over on Yahoo. And I'm not going to say anything good or bad about Yahoo because I've never played a
I
league on
actually have
Yahoo
heard
before.
pretty good things about Yahoo. Like I've heard it's better than ESPN. The
Should
thing
we have
that
been
bugs
doing
me,
should we have been doing a Yahoo mock today?
the thing that bugs me about Yahoo is that they put the receivers like before the running backs on your roster, and it just like is like what the heck. But I've heard it's like a
Yeah,
better
David's a sucker
ESPN.
for aesthetics.
I am,
Um
but I heard
Anyway,
it's just
so we're
like
going to be doing a 10 team half PPR mock on Sleeper today, so that we actually have time to talk with you guys, show our strategy as we go, and preview our thinking. Um, we're going to swap draft picks that we talked about in the last show. So David's going to draft out of the 3 hole. I'm going to draft out of the 10. Reasoning for that is I have another league that's a 10 team half PPR league, and it's the league where I got to pick my draft slot, and I picked 10. So I'm going to get a little practice for that draft, which is coming up in a couple weeks. And David's picking 3 so that he can kind of delve into a little bit of the strategy that we talked about in our tips and tricks episode. Just last episode in terms of some strategy when you're close to the turn, but there's 1, 2, 3 teams in between you. Kind of how to strategize and stuff. So David's going to kind of be the guinea pig for those purposes, to give you some insight into that. And then our next episode, after this one, we're going to be doing another mock draft. We're going to do it on Sleeper again, just for the customizability, like we talked about. But we are going to do a 12-team one for you guys, for those of you who are drafting in 12-team leagues, because it's very different. And I think David and I might just go random on that one, just to kind of show you guys the strategy we'd use no matter where we're drafting from. So, and we know some of you don't get your draft picks early, so you just kind of have to be ready. So we'll kind of show you that as well.
I will
Um,
say, if you're in a serious league and you do it where you get your draft pick late, I would highly recommend making the change in the future to having
that
your
and
pick early.
kickers. That and
Yeah.
kickers. Two
But like we
biggest pet
used to do
peeves.
that up until maybe 2, 3 years ago, where it randomized an hour before, and I just gotta say it helps so much to know going into it like where
Yeah,
you're gonna be at.
yeah,
Maybe not when you're the 10th
100%.
pick like me, but like it really helps if
Mm,
you got like the first few picks and you know the order you want the guys instead of getting in there and you're like, holy crap, like I have the first pick. Who am I gonna take? And so yeah. Anyways, just a
yeah.
point. If you don't, I would highly recommend it. It's been really helpful the last few years.
Yep, and get rid of kickers.
This guy
Or
freaking
or
hates
nerf them
kickers.
at
I
least.
don't mind having kickers. I just like the nerfed format of kickers, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I'm the same. Uh, I think I'm just a little hot about my keeper league that voted to keep kickers and keep the broken
Womp,
scoring.
womp.
But at least I get Luther Burden in that league. Keep him.
Yeah, if bro plays.
He got like a minor groin injury, bruh.
Dude, those groin injuries.
Speaking of injuries, what the heck is going on in the NFL with injuries right now? It's every
I
day it's a
think
new guy.
every team is practicing in the 49ers training complex right now or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
I thought you were saying every 49ers player was injured. No, you're saying that
Well,
everybody
that
has a
too, but like I mean
everybody's got a substation now.
the Chargers just like showed up to practice with the 49ers and their starting center instantly is out for the season.
I know, and I think that's going to hurt Hampton and Herbert and everything because they
I know.
spent a lot of money on
So
him to bring him over from Washington.
PSA,
Biotish, right?
if you are an NFL GM or whoever the frick sets that up, do not do a combined practice at the 49ers. You will lose a starter.
49ers need to go down to LA, right? But speaking of injuries, before
Yeah,
we
it would
jump into the
the
mock
help the
draft,
Niners players too. They wouldn't get hurt either.
yeah, true. Um, Before we get into the mock, we have a section on our doc, unfortunately, that's titled Injury News. So, David, we're going to try to make injury news more fun, if that's even possible. And I'm going to read you some players' names and their injury. And assuming it's not a season-ending injury, because we know that that's a big deal, I want you to give me a panic meter. Green being not super worried, yellow moderately concerned, red is like red alert. You're really worried about it. Um, and when we get to some of the guys with the season-ending injuries, I think we should talk a little bit about the fallout of that. So, you ready? I'm gonna start firing you some names. So, first one, Colts tight end Tyler Warren. He has a groin injury. Believe it's considered minor. Sounds like they're thinking he'll return to practice next week. What are you thinking about Tyler Warren?
Green, because there's nobody else there to catch the ball.
They just signed Keenan Allen, dude.
Yeah, we can talk about Keenan Allen, but he's like 36 and he'll be hurt by week 2.
He also had 80 catches last year.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, if Warren's on the field, he's going to get volume, and so even if he's not 100% to start the season, I'm not worried, really. If this injury starts lingering or something going into the season, obviously that changes, but, I mean, groins are kind of a lingering injury, but typically you can play through them.
I worry about them a lot less than I worry about hamstrings, quads, things like that. Yeah, I'm not worried about Tyler Warren either, especially if he's going to be returning to practice like 2 full weeks before the season starts. Maybe even more.
Injuries
3 weeks.
Hurt though, dude.
Yeah, they're uncomfortable. You do a lot of stuff with your groin. You do.
Oh, boy.
David's got his head in the gutter apparently.
It's a good thing we're on a video right now, so I watch what I say.
This one is a season-ending injury, so we're going to talk about more of the fallout. David, Jaden Higgins, wide receiver obviously he's not going to be a fantasy contributor this year, but let's talk about what it means for the Houston outlook, fantasy-wise. It makes me a little bit more interested in Nico Collins for sure. Makes me more willing to take a late shot on some other guys, some Jalen Noels, some Tank Dells, some Xavier Hutchinson type people. I have seen that they're exploring the trade market a little bit. We'll see if anything turns up there. I also saw that they signed like 2 receivers today that are like old washed up guys. Zay Jones was one of them. I can't remember the other off the top of my head. Which makes me think they called around and asked about some trades and the prices were not what they were willing to spend. So, for me, I think the biggest thing is like, makes me more interested in Nico Collins. He already had a pretty solid season last year, considering how slow he started, and how bad CJ Stroud was. And then, we just keep talking about all these late round tight ends you can take a shot on. And I think it just makes it more and more reasonable to take a shot on Dalton Schultz if you want to. He still wouldn't be my number 1 late tight end target, but I could see him being one of those guys that after 1 or 2 weeks, everybody's snagging him off the waiver wire. So that's kind of what I feel like is the fantasy fallout of that, but I'll let you comment if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest riser for potential is Tank Dell because, I mean, I've talked about this, I think, at least 2 or 3 times. But now with him being out, I think Tank Dell's opportunity goes up. He's going to, even if he's not as efficient as he should be on the field more because they don't have other options now with that injury. And like I said, him and CJ Stroud are good buddies and they have good chemistry. We've seen it before. So if he's even playing at 75% of what he was in that one season, he's going to have fantasy relevant weeks. And so to me, he's worth a rate round. Oh goodness. Apparently I'm tired. A late round flyer on with one of your last picks.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying about Tank Dell and taking a late shot on him. I don't think he's the biggest riser because of this. I think the biggest riser is actually Xavier Hutchinson. And the reason for that is Nico Collins is going to be an outside receiver. Jaden Higgins was going to be the other outside receiver. And then obviously Tank Dell is at his best working out of the slot. That's probably where most of his snaps were going to come, along with Noel being moved around all over kind of as a gadget piece. I think this just sticks Hutchinson outside. And I don't think Tank Dell's role is
Yeah.
really going to
To me,
change.
though, it adds targets
Not saying
to
I
Tank Dell.
want Xavier Hutchinson from a
Yeah.
fantasy perspective, but he's the biggest riser. I
Yeah.
don't even know how much he was going to play before this.
Yeah. I'm just mean fantasy wise, the target share for Tank Dell goes up because Hutchinson's going to take less target share than he would have, sorry, than Jaden Higgins would have. So it opens up more targets for A, Dalton Schultz, and B, Tank Dell. So their targets slash receptions over the course of the season are going to get a bump. Even if it's just slight, it does help them.
Yeah. I think David's a little more bullish on Tank Dell than I am. I don't think that Tank Dell's going to get a big bump in targets um, because some of that Jaden Higgins work is going to go to Nico Collins. He's the number one receiver. Some of it is going to go to Dalton Schultz. I actually think a large chunk of it is going to go to Dalton Schultz. And then, as we've seen throughout history for many, many years now, when a wide receiver leaves in free agency or goes down with injury, a huge chunk of targets gets funneled to the running back position. So I actually think it's good news in the pass catching realm for David Montgomery and Woody Marks as well. I don't necessarily know how much it's going to improve Tank Dell's target share. Now, if Tank Dell just is great and goes out and is awesome, that's awesome. But I don't necessarily know how much that has to do with Jaden Higgins versus would Tank Dell have just been great to start with. You know what I mean?
I think it still gives him a little bit more opportunity to showcase that if he is that than if you have three solid receivers on the field, regardless of.
Probably. I just think it's
Yeah.
negligible. I think Tank Dell's going to be valuable if he's back, and he's not if he's not. Um, this one's interesting. Jeremiah Love, high ankle sprain, Arizona Cardinals rookie running back.
Red.
It's red for me
High
too.
ankle sprains there. I mean, in some ways, you talk about this. High ankle sprains for athletes can be worse than a break because they are tough to come back from. And when you do come back, you are not the same player. Obviously, over time, you get back to that, but it lingers and you can't be as efficient as you were on a high ankle sprain. It messes you up. And we've talked a lot about how we're already out on Jeremiah Love. And now they're saying he might not even be ready for the beginning of the season. And we are
He's not
already,
going to be. There's
yeah,
no
and
way.
we're already talking about him not getting a large work. Even if he is ready for week one, now it's going to put the other running backs on the field even more than they already would have been. There was already a 0% chance I was drafting Jeremiah Love this year in redraft. It's now like negative 10%, unless he drops to like the 8th round.
Yeah, what's crazy is Jeremiah Love was dropping in drafts, and so I was starting to see him like available like late third, early fourth in 10-team leagues, and I don't have a draft pick there in our league of record, which is where I've been practicing the most recently, but I do have a pick there in some other leagues, and he was getting to the point where I was ready to pull the trigger on him there, especially with how good he looked. In the preseason game that he did play and acquired the injury. But now with the high ankle sprain, I'm out again. I've seen him sliding so far when I've been doing mock drafts, and I still don't have the guts to pull the trigger. David's right. It lingers. It inhibits performance long after you come back to the field. He's their cornerstone of their franchise on offense going forward. If you think they're going to play him a full allotment of snaps coming off of a high ankle sprain when he does eventually come back right away, you're crazy. They're going to be super, super careful with him. It just really sucks because you saw in that preseason game how talented he is. I'm going to love drafting him everywhere next year. Emeka Egbuka, toe sprain.
Yeah. To me, it's somewhere
It's a
between.
yellow for me.
I was going to say, it's between a yellow and a very light green. Like, it concerns me, but not enough to be out on him. It just might make me draft him a little bit later in a redraft league, but his upside over the course of the season is still the same to me.
Agreed. And the only thing I want to talk about related to other guys is Chris Godwin was already a value. Now he's a really good value. Puka Nakua, groin injury. It's a green for me. I'm not worried about him. I'm far more worried about a suspension. And I don't think that's a thing either. Agreed? We move on from Puka Nacua? Okay. I'm going to let David take this one. Christian McCaffrey. Injury.
It,
Soreness.
it's, I mean, it has to be at least, I mean, it has to be in the orange.
There's no
If it was,
orange. There's
what is
green,
the,
yellow, and red.
okay, it's in the
It's a
orange because
stoplight,
it's a
David.
dark yellow. It's like a very dark yellow to me.
It's
Instead,
not a
yeah,
dark yellow for me. It's just a
it's a
regular
yellow.
yellow.
It's
If
a
it was
yellow.
any other guy besides Christian McCaffrey, it'd be a green.
That's what I was gonna say. If it
Um,
was anybody besides CMC, this is green. But
I'm
this is
still I'm still draft. If I have the number 5 pick and the 2 receivers and the 2 running backs go, I'm still taking him fifth every single
yes,
time.
but you have to draft the handcuff, which is Kalen Black, by the way.
Correct.
Um, that's happened now because of injuries. He is the number 2 guy. He's been taking first team work by himself when CMC is out, and
Yep.
he's productive
100%.
enough to be fantasy relevant, like all their 49ers running backs are. So if you go CMC and he ends up not playing, you have to have Black. But like Drew said, this is too familiar to me as a former CMC dynasty owner in the season where he was doing this, and then they're like, he's going to be good to go for week 1, and then the day of the game, they said he was out and he didn't play for like 7 weeks. So it does worry me just because it's CMC, and I don't trust Kyle Shanahan one bit, and I don't even know if he's the one saying stuff because of his car accident, but I don't trust the
He is.
49ers after. I don't trust Kyle Shanahan after last time because he just straight up lied. And we found out, like, that after the first game that Jordan Mason knew he was going to start days before that game happened, and it didn't come out until an hour before the game that CMC was out. Not how it should be in the NFL. I think that should have been investigated, and that's why it worries me, because I think the 49ers have since then, and were then notorious about keeping things kind of under wraps. And I mean, I understand you don't want the other teams to be able to be ready as well as they could be if you knew that, but it does worry me.
Yep. Fair enough. Alvin Kamara, MCL.
Undraftable. Boost for
Yeah,
ETN, A chain.
slight,
I mean,
slight boost. I think the
yeah,
boosting of him is
he
getting
was
out of
already
control.
gonna
I'm seeing
be.
people take him way too early now.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him
Um,
anywhere other than where he was. But yeah, no. I mean,
happy to take
Kamara's
him at
done.
happy to take him at his ADP now, for sure.
If
But
Kamara was going to be on
unfortunately,
the
people are
field
reaching
for
for him. So
25% of the snaps, it's now
yeah,
15 when he's healthy.
yeah. Breece Hall groin injury. It's a
Green.
green for me. Yeah,
He's
2
going
to
to get
3
all the
weeks. They
carries.
said from the injury, it's already been a week. I think. We still got 3 weeks till the season starts. He should be back for the first game. Aaron Glenn said, and they're not worried about it. He does not worry me at all. Jordan Tyson, this is a red alert for me.
Yeah,
David can
GG's,
speak.
man.
Yeah.
He
Major
has
hamstring injury. He's going to be
struggled with
out for a
hamstring
long
stuff
time.
too, which is kind of concerning. If you have him in Dynasty, I'd be worried too.
I'm gonna let David go.
Sorry. I'd be worried if I had him in Dynasty. If you look at his injury history, he's had like 7 hamstring things. He was working back from a hamstring thing post draft, and now he's already hurt the other one. It really reminds me of like the Christian Watson situation where he just kept getting hurt coming into the league. And I saw he actually went down, I think, the Madison, like school, hospital, whatever you want to call it, and they did some testing on him and figured out there was some sort of imbalance with his hamstrings, and they were able to get that under wraps. Jordan Tyson needs to go get that looked at. Because he's had like
For
7
sure.
hamstring injuries since college, and that is
Yeah, one of Christian Watson's
big red flag.
hamstrings was like significantly shorter or longer than the other. It was kind of weird to read about.
So sad too, because Tyson looked awesome when he came back.
Big boost to Chris Olave. Jawan
I'm still
Johnson
taking a
has
flyer on him late in like the 10th round, like we said, but
yeah, because he could stick him on the IR spot or whatever,
but
right?
like I don't
Um,
expect it now. If he comes back,
oh, it's gonna be
um,
slow even when he comes back.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, big boost to Chris Olave. We talked about that. already when we did some wide receiver rankings. Juwan Johnson is becoming one of my favorite late round tight end snags as well. Who was their wide receiver two last year? I'm blanking on it. Chris Olave and
I don't know who technically was their wide receiver too. They had wasn't Bub Means, was it?
no. It was actually somebody who was like getting some targets and stuff.
Did he
Um,
leave? I don't even.
yes, Rashid Shaheed got traded. That's what it
Yeah, he's
was.
on the Seahawks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was somebody who was more valuable than Bub Means. When Rashid Shaheed got traded last year, Juwan Johnson became an excellent fantasy football tight end. And they just lost their wide receiver two again. And they don't have the talent behind that to fill it. Deshaun Vele is probably going to be the wide receiver two. So yeah, love taking a shot on Juwan Johnson. He did great last year. When it was just him and Olave for the most part. So that's my biggest takeaway from that one. For other people, Kyle Monungai, hyperextended knee. I'm worried about it a little bit. I'd put it a yellow for his outlook. Big boost for DeAndre Swift for me. Anything to add to that, David? I want to try to
No, I
power through
agree. I
these a little
mean,
bit.
like we said, they're 50-50 split kind of, and it's gonna be a slow start from one guy now. So Swift's boosted.
Yep. Chuba Hubbard, hamstring injury. I haven't heard a lot of news about this one. I don't necessarily have a color code.
I
Here's
think
my
it's
advice.
yellow.
Don't draft freaking Panthers.
Take a shot on Jordan Brooks late though, or Jonathan Brooks. I'm sorry. I mean,
You can't get him late anymore. People are
he
reaching on
moved
him.
up?
He's
Yeah.
going 6th, 7th round. It's way too early.
Yeah, that's too high.
That's not his ADP, but people are reaching
Yep.
and his
They're
ADP keeps
realizing.
climbing.
Yep.
Yeah,
And he didn't look
he's
good in the first preseason game or second preseason game. He looked.
he scored a
not good.
1-yard touchdown tonight. I saw, in the second preseason game.
I actually got to go look at his stats from tonight now that you said that and just see if he was efficient at all. Because
it's
been
just
his
for
problem.
me. For me, it's so easy. I will not touch a Panthers player.
Bryce Young was 5 for 6. It's not bad. Dude, John Mechie feasted tonight. Good for him. John Mechie, for those of you that didn't know, he had cancer coming into the league. So kind of a cool story that he's been able to bounce back from that. He's been on a couple teams now, but 6 catches for 77 yards. Good for him. Happy to see him balling out.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear what you say about this one. Alec Pierce, still working back from the ankle injury of last season. It's a red for me. I get bad juju about it.
Red.
The Keenan Allen signing is bad juju.
No, yeah, you go sign a receiver like that, like it means there's something up, and I feel bad for the Colts. I feel bad for Colts fans. They just gave him a bag, and he's still hurt.
He's a DND for me. Do not draft.
He's not being touched. I'd rather take a shot on Josh Downs than him.
Remember
honestly.
when we did the AFC South podcast and I said secretly I think the Colts are one of the worst run organizations in football and Peyton Manning just covered it up? Yeah. Paying Alec Pierce was so dumb.
By the way, Trevor Etienne tonight and Anthony Tyus III were both more efficient than Jonathan Brooks.
There you go. They're probably playing against worse guys, to be fair. But
he played about the same level as A.J. Dillon.
It's really hard to come back from 2 devastating knee injuries. Like we saw that with Nick Chubb. It's tough. I think we can almost skip over this, David. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from the Jets. He's still working back from. He had a core muscle hernia surgery in the offseason. Then he had a setback. He wasn't going to be fantasy relevant anyways, I don't think. Ricky Pearsall, season-ending PCL injury. Not even really an injury. They had to go and do a fix-up on the old injury or whatever. Hate that. I wonder if Ricky Pearsall's career is for the most part over.
It's sad. I think he had a lot of upside too. He was good. Yeah. We both liked him coming out of the draft.
Slick Rick, dude. Slick Rick.
Can I do a quick shout out to Amir Abdullah, who's still balling in the NFL and making rosters at 33?
Can you stop shouting out people from preseason games?
Well, he's still...
we got to get to this mock draft.
That's like older than most running backs that are studs make it in the league, and he has never been a stud. He's just like a journeyman, dude. Respect. In another life, I'm Amir Abdullah.
Okay. we've talked about the fallout from the Ricky Pearsall injury already. Mike Evans, if he plays, probably has some value. They signed
He's
Debo
already got
Samuel.
hurt
He might have some
twice.
sneaky value.
Dear God.
I keep seeing good things about Stribling. So
Dude, he has like 11 catches in 2 preseason games, and he had a punt return touchdown or something. It's
no, he didn't have a punt return
Oh, that was
touchdown.
the
That
other
was
rookie.
Jacob
Yeah.
Cowing. He's
Yep,
not
I
a
lied.
rookie either. He was drafted last year. David doesn't know his 49ers apparently. Um,
I know Kalen Black.
Makai Lemon, hamstring injury twice throughout training camp. He returned to practice.
I was
So
gonna
that's
say he's
interesting to me.
practicing.
It's a yellow for me. Just because, not because I think the injury is going to like limit him long term or anything like that, but because I think missing the whole training camp, he's going to get off to a slow start. And I think it's going to be hard for rostering him in fantasy and him taking up a roster spot. That's my only outlook with that. I love Devontae Smith because of it. I love Dallas Goedert as a late tight end. I'm all over those two. And then we've got 3 undisclosed injuries, David. So this clouds it a little bit. David's still looking at preseason stats instead
No,
of
I'm
listening
actually
to injury.
looking to see if there was any news on Judkins today before we talk about him.
So
Still undisclosed. It's kinda a
Quinshon
little bit
Judkins,
sketchy.
I'm not super worried about it. It's a green for me, unless it's different for you. I'm far more worried about Judkins' situation than his injury.
They've now said it's a nagging injury, so something to monitor. I can't really say when you have no idea what's going on. Hopefully he's all right.
Parker Washington, undisclosed injury, expected to return to practice this coming week. It's a green for me. The hype train on him is incredible. I mean, it's just Parker Washington is the best Jaguars wide receiver. Parker Washington looks the best of all the weapons. Parker Washington this, Parker Washington that. Not Luther Burden. Brian Thomas Jr. is taking all the wide receiver 3 snaps. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like
Brian Thomas is. It's crazy how the fall off. I mean, he's not out there on 2 wide receiver sets.
Parker Washington, dude.
Dude, I've been
That's
saying.
why.
Remember when we did our the AFC South breakdown, and I said I wanted Parker Washington, and you said you wanted who was it? Was it who's the other?
I don't think I planted my flag on one of them. I just said it might be hard to figure out, but I think it's
No, you
becoming.
did. You said if you had to pick one, you would take. Is it Zayd?
Jacoby
Who's
Myers.
Jacoby Myers, yeah, that's who you were in on at the time. But that was a bit ago, so I just
I'm
wanted
more
to shout out
Parker.
that I know
I'm more
ball.
Parker Washington now. I think Jacoby Myers will probably have value. I think he'll be a good touchdown, whatever as well. But Parker Washington is just good. He's been perennially slept on. I watched him live at Penn State. He's a great receiver.
I feel bad for BTJ.
New one. This is a red for me. Sam LaPorta. Dan Campbell immediately came out and said he didn't know if it was going to stop him from being ready for the start of the season already. The injury only happened a couple of days ago, so it's a red for me. And I will say, when Sam LaPorta went out last year, after everybody on earth hated Jamison Williams because he did nothing for 8 weeks, he was very, very good. And Jamison Williams finished as a top 10 receiver last year, by the way.
I forgot. It's crazy.
That's how crazy bad the injury luck was with wide receivers last year. That's why I said I take no stock in where a guy finished last year. Like, he was awful for 8 weeks, unplayable, and he managed to get top 10. It's also why I have no confidence in Tet McMillan because he played every single game and he couldn't even crack the top 10.
Don't get me started right now.
Last one, Luther Burden, another groin injury.
It's yellow to me.
I think it's
Just
yellow to me as well.
because I think when you're in an offense that has 3 young weapons, we broke this down already, it's not helpful for you to be missing practice when there's
Agreed.
2 other young guys that are building chemistry with the quarterback. So it definitely concerns me a little bit more. Drew got me in on him. If they were all healthy going into the season, I'm in on him the most, then Loveland. Honestly, I think the one that I feel the safest about right now is Loveland.
For sure. This doesn't
I
increase
think
my
Odunze
confidence
has a
about
chance to
Odunze at
be
all.
pretty decent this year still. He's not my favorite pick, but I think it just hurts Burden in general to lose those reps. I think we saw it last year when he
100%.
was injured in training camp too. It took him a while to come onto the scene towards the end of the year, and at least he has that going for him now, but still he's missing the valuable reps right now that those other guys are getting. So it definitely bumps him back a little bit for me in redraft leagues. I would be cautious as to where you're drafting him, as there is still that outside chance, depending on how he recovers, that he could miss the first week.
But
I don't
you'd
think
keep
so.
him for a 15th round pick.
Yes, Drew, I would keep him if I had him in keeper league for a 15th round pick.
Okay, good. Kind of
Is
solved
that
my
the last
problem
person
because
on
I
our
really
list?
it is. Because I wanted to talk I wanted to have Luther Burden so bad, as David knows. And with where I'm drafting in a lot of leagues, I don't think I'm going to have Luther Burden in any of them. And I just have him in that league. So that's good. Um, it's this simple for me. Ben Johnson picked Colston Loveland and Ben Johnson picked Luther Burden, and they both look explosive and awesome. And Romo Dunze is now going into year 3, and while he's showed some flash, I don't think he's nearly the athlete that the other two are. And Ben Johnson didn't pick him. So the Burden injury doesn't increase my confidence for Odunze at all. It does make me think that Colston Loveland could boom this year. I'm still not willing to take Colston Loveland as early as he's going, but if you're convinced about him, I can't blame anybody for taking him. Hopefully Odunze turns out because we've got a card. It looks like
Here at Fantasy Facts Cards, we hope Odunze is a baller because I
we
got
do.
very minimal burden. I've been trying to get some more
But
through
think about what
auctions.
Ben Johnson came in. David and I have talked about this off mic so many times, but Ben Johnson came in, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland immediately drafts both of them when he has DJ Moore and Romo Dunze and Cole Kmet, who are all signed to big money, high draft pick, or paid, right? Like, and what did he do? He drafted a tight end to stick in front of Cole Kmet. He kicked DJ Moore to the curb, and he kept the young guy. To me, it's like, I don't know how you don't think Romo Dunze is the number 3 target on this team.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I guess especially if Burden's healthy.
100%.
Let's get this mock draft going, man.
Let's get this mock draft going. I'm going to share my screen up here, so for those of you listening but not seeing, that's why there's a little bit of a pause here. The mock draft is up, correct, David? You can see that all right?
Yes, I would advise you that it does not show the whole draft board.
That's because I'm in half screen right now.
Okay,
It
perfect.
should be a lot better now.
Beautiful work, Drew.
David is in there at the 3 pick. I'm going to go ahead and claim the 10 pick. And we're going to work through a mock draft here. We are doing a pretty standard roster, so we would go in 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end. We've got 2 flexes, David. Do we want 2 flexes, or should I change that?
It's totally up to you, man.
Let's adjust. Oh, I think because we've already
Let's
we're
just
going
run
2
with it.
flexes. We're running with it. It's a 2 flex league. Probably puts a little more premium on a wide receiver, running back than it does quarterback, tight end. But outside of that, we'll still talk through our strategy and stuff. So, ready, David?
Let's rock and roll.
So, unsurprisingly, Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs go 1 and 2. Not the order I would expect them to go, but the 2 guys I would expect to go number 2. And David's on the clock, so I'm going to let him explain why he's going to take Jamar Chase.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to draft Puka Nacua, I think, because I'm going to base this off of, if I was drafting genuinely today, is that what we're doing this?
Yes, if this was a real draft and you were on the clock, would you draft Puka Nacua right now?
I'd be really tempted to, especially with, I think I would.
So do it.
I think I'm gonna go Puka, just because I think he's gonna be healthy and not suspended. I'm not really worried about the suspension anymore, like I was for a little bit, and I'm also not worried about the injury. And I think Puka, he averaged like 19 points per game last year. We've talked about there's a little more concern, but I think for this season, I feel very comfortable with Puka.
I'm drafting third on Sunday, and I will draft Jamar Chase. Um,
Either
quite
one's
a
a good pick, by the
quite a
way.
weird board here, but Christian McCaffrey goes 4, Jonathan Taylor 5, James Cook 6, Jamar Chase goes number 7. Insane value for Team 7. Sleeper AI is funny sometimes.
We got some
JSN
people
goes
going
8.
the freaking RB heavy strat, it looks like, with the
Amon
first
Ross
six
St.
picks.
Brown goes 1-9, and I'm on the clock. This is the exact situation I expect myself to find myself in the league where I'm drafting 10th. Um, and for me, this is really, really easy. I've talked so much about how high I am on Ashton Genty. He's my RB4 this year. So I'm happy to get him as the 6th running back drafted. I just think the volume's going to be off the charts. He really turned a corner at the end of last year. And I'm pretty sure he finished as a back end RB1, like RB12, even though he had that really, really slow start and no quarterback play. I think Kirk Cousins is going to dump the ball off to him a lot. So I'm going Ashton Genty at the 110. And as we've talked about, I'm controlling the turns so on this end of the board. So I got to think about what I'm going to be coming away with now, but also who I may be targeting the next time around. So I'm always looking down as I think you can see my mouse live, right, David? I'm always looking at the guys on the draft board that are kind of around where I'm supposed to come next because there's no way to predict it for sure, but you got to kind of have an idea. So there's some wide receivers around there: Devontae Smith, Malik Neighbors, Raji Rice. I'm indifferent about, but I like Chris Olave a lot. There's lots of receivers there I like. There's also some running backs I really like. I think Josh Jacobs is sliding too far in drafts. Um, I think Breece Hall is a good volume pick. I really like Javonte Williams, especially if I don't take CeeDee Lamb here at the turn. So I'm going to go one running back, one wide receiver so that I could keep my options open when I get to the turn. I would feel comfortable drafting 2 more running backs. I would feel comfortable drafting 2 more wide receivers at that next turn because I went 1-1 this time. And I do technically have CeeDee Lamb 1 spot higher than Justin Jefferson, but I talked about on the wide receiver show, it's a coin flip for me. And I know that there's a chance I'm targeting Javonte Williams at the RB2. And for that reason, I'm going to take Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, so that's actually the start I want what Drew's did in our redraft league that we're doing on ESPN. So I would agree with Drew's picks there. I'm
Achan,
back on the clock
Dev,
after.
Devin,
You want
yeah,
to say it? Sorry.
yeah, Devin Achan, Devon Achan goes, CeeDee Lamb, Saquon Barkley, Hampton, Chris Brown, and Derrick Henry go. David is on the clock, and
For
he's got
those
a.
listening, it is Chase Brown.
What did I say? Chris Brown?
Let's
Like the singer?
get some music in here.
We should have Chris Brown playing while we draft. No. David's on the clock. He's got a very nice draft board looking at him, in my opinion.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do here for you guys, just stick to it. Sorry about that noise. I'm going to look at my rankings that I have. I want to stick to those. So right now, my best available receiver, I believe, would be A.J. Brown. And the best available running back in my rankings would be, let's
It's the
see,
two bros at the
actually.
top. It's Kenneth
Is it?
Walker and AJ Brown.
Yeah. So odds are they're not going to both. One of them's not. Well, whichever one I don't take isn't going to get back to me, and so I have to
So then,
decide. And
so then
since I,
talk people through the strategy, right? So, which one do you take, and
yeah. So
because of what you think's going to
yeah.
happen and what's
It's
going to be
really, really
available when it
obviously
comes back to you.
right here is one of the harder times to predict. You don't know how people are going to start their draft. They could both go running back for their second pick, and they both have 2 picks before my next pick. And so right now, it's really hard to predict. So for me at this point, it's probably going to be best available, but I also need to be conscious of the fact that if I don't get a running back here, one that I'm comfortable with might not come back to me.
Yeah,
And so for
can I
that
just
reason,
add here? So David mentioned, it's kind of hard to look at what a team's doing, right? Because they only have picked one player. But David needs to look at who's coming up down the list, right? So if there's a running back that he's certain is going to get back to him, or pretty certain that he really likes, he should probably go wide receiver. But if he likes more of the wide receivers available coming back to him, then he should be going with the running back more most likely, right? So you got to play the draft board in addition to the people in between your picks.
Yeah, and so for that reason, I decided, I was already saying, I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. I don't want to risk not getting a RB1 that I'm comfortable starting, so I'm going to start off Puka and then Kenneth Walker with my second pick.
Really like that pick, David. The two teams between you go A.J. Brown, Josh Allen, Drake London, Trey McBride, and the board is back to you.
Okay, so looking at the draft board, Brock Bowers is technically the best available, but I don't really want him after what we talked about. I think he's not healthy. So, to be honest, I'm looking at best available here at this point in my rankings because I have one running back, one receiver, and I have no idea what's going to be here by the time I get back. So looking at my rankings, I have, I believe my best available receiver would be, I think it's gonna probably, this might be a reach via ADP, but I'm gonna take Chris Olave. I like Chris Olave, especially with that Jordan Tyson injury, to eat up a lot of those targets. So I feel really comfortable with him as my wide receiver too.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I might have gone Nico Collins there just because of the slight bump we talked about, but I definitely would have been taking wide receiver there, so we were on the same wavelength.
Just because when we did those rankings, that was prior to either of the wide receiver two's injuries, and I already had Chris Olave higher. So
that's true, and Olave did have the other injury as well, so that's a fair point. Jeremiah Love, Brock Bowers, George Pickens, Kyron Williams, Breece Hall, Nico Collins go, and I'm back here at the 3-4 turn. I told you guys I was targeting a very safe, comfortable, good running back 2 at this spot, and Javonte Williams made it back to me. I'm very, very happy with him. Josh Jacobs is intriguing to me, but when a guy as comfortable and safe as Javonte Williams is available there, I'm going to take him instead. If I was picking maybe 4 or 5 picks from now, I would be very comfortable taking Jacobs. So I'm going to go Javonte Williams first. Now I've grabbed a couple running backs and one wide receiver. Again, what I do when I'm at the turn is I'm scrolling down and I'm looking at who it seems likely is going to be available at the next turn, given the draft board. I like DeAndre Swift. There's a chance DeAndre Swift doesn't make it, though. I do like a lot of the wide receivers available at the next turn. I like Luther Burden a lot, like we've talked about. I do think that DJ Moore is going to have solid volume in Buffalo. And who knows if somebody higher falls as well. I think I'm going to try to keep it pretty balanced here. I like DeAndre Swift. I'm comfortable with like a Bashal Tutin or a Jadarian Price as well when I'm talking running back 3, not running back 2. So I'm going to go back up to the top of the board here. I'm going to look at best available wide receiver here. I'm going to go against my rankings a little bit, and it's just because I'm so high on this guy. When you're at the turn, sometimes you just have to take the guy you want, and the guy I want is Zay Flowers. So I'm going to be drafting Zay Flowers here. I don't really fancy the risk of Malik Neighbors and how bad that offense has looked. And I just think I'd be shocked if Zay Flowers was in a top 10 wide receiver again this year. So I'm going to lock in Zay Flowers here.
Yeah, and that's who I was hoping would make it back to me because you really should have via ADP. So now I got to kind of shift my attention there.
That's how it goes. You got to be ready to adjust. So we gave David a good chest here. Tet McMillan, Raji Rice, Devontae Smith, Josh Jacobs, Emeka Egbuka, Malik Neighbors go in front of David, and he is on the board here. Looking at Lamar Jackson, Cam Scatterbo, and T. Higgins at the top.
Yeah, so um, I gotta really actually think now because I was thinking I was for sure gonna get Zay Flowers, so Drew really putting me on the spot there. So good, making it a little more realistic. Um, Prior to seeing some of this preseason stuff and the Najee Harris signing, I think Scadaboo I would have felt really comfortable with as my RB2. I am concerned. Um, and to be honest, I don't love anybody in the RB range here more than the others. So I'm going to feel comfortable snagging one with the pick coming back. So I'm looking at flexes. I'm also considering Lamar Jackson. I think he is not terrible value here, but I
Good
don't.
value in the late fourth, I think.
Yeah. So he's on my board. And then I'm also looking at wide receiver, not tight end. Like we said, this is the range where I'm staying away from tight end.
I'm curious if
Um,
David picks who I would pick here if I was looking for a very solid
yeah.
lock
And
him in every
so
week flex.
I'm gonna start Garrett. I think I'm gonna go Garrett Wilson here. It's
David and I are the same brain.
between Garrett Wilson and I did consider Lad McConkey, but Garrett Wilson, the target share, to be my wide receiver three, I think it's a very good start at receiver. So we're gonna go Garrett Wilson and see what ends up coming back to us.
Love that pick, David. That's exactly who I would have taken. Lamar Jackson, Bucky Irving, T. Higgins, and Cam Scattaboo go around the turn, and David's back on the board, and he's probably going to go running back, but Lad's still there if you want him.
Yeah, and so it is something to monitor with it being a two flex league. But I gotta say I'm a little concerned. I just gotta take a look. If I do go, there's got a lot of running backs in this range that are supposed to go before my next pick, and I have to be really conscious of that. I should have mentioned too, going before that pick, I didn't care much about the people between me, like I said, because I knew who I wanted, and there was I knew I'd be comfortable with one of the running backs coming back to me for sure. And I did think there was a really, really good chance that Lamar would go to the second or to the team after me, so team two, which they did. So it did make me consider going Lamar first and hoping to get Garrett Wilson back to me. But I like Garrett Wilson enough for that's just not a risk I was willing to take. So now I'm looking at running back,
I
and
do
I
have to
feel
say, too,
very
David, sorry to interrupt you, but you're in a really powerful spot as somebody drafting near but not on the turn now. Both the teams on the turn in between you have quarterbacks now. So now
yeah.
there's no
So I
pressure
feel
for you going
so
forward to
comfortable.
take a
Correct.
quarterback with your first pick at the turn. You can always wait to the second.
And now it's a really interesting thing because to me, uh, Travis Etienne, ETN, whatever you want to call him, is by far the best running back on the board, in my opinion. And so he would easily be my pick here. But the problem is I went Chris Olave, and I really don't like to go running back, wide receiver on the same team, especially a team that might struggle like the Saints. So that's going to take me away from that. And it's actually enough for me to consider waiting and seeing what running backs get back to me. Kind of a scary thought because Jonathan Brooks is projected to be the best running back when I get back. Um, so I think wide receiver pretty top heavy here, big drop off. And now this is going to be a big running back range. I wouldn't love this situation if this was my real draft. Um, Man, I really don't like it. I gotta be honest.
David's lucky I gave him 10 minutes on the clock.
Yeah. So if this was me, ooh, I think I would. I gotta decide if it's worth going running back or. For me, it's between Lad McConkey, who I said I was thinking about at my last pick. That would make me feel really good about my double two flex spots. Or probably DeAndre Swift. Um, like I said, if I didn't have Chris Olave, this is 100% Travis Etienne Jr.
I know
But
we just said that we're punting tight end, but I don't love the players available here, and Colston Loveland would be speaking to me a little bit.
I thought about it, but I do want to stand by what we said about tight end for the viewers and
Yeah,
not talk
and I
about
agree with
taking a
David.
mid-range tight end or
HN,
not, and then in the first mock we do taking a mid-range tight end.
No, no, of course.
So
And Achan Jr. would be my pick here as well. But you're right about the Olave thing.
yeah, I really don't want a running back and receiver from the Saints, the same team. So, um, you know what? To make it a little interesting, if you do go one running back, I'm gonna take McConkey and see what happens and show you guys how I would handle it if I get to the next pick and kind of am waiting to take that RB2 and target some players that I think have some upside.
David's essentially doing a hero RB strategy now for you guys who watched our tips and tricks. Um, Ken Walker's the hero. Waddle, Montgomery, Achan Jr., Warren, Burden, and Judkins go in front of me. We've now made it to the turn. I'm stoked because I am definitely going to pull the trigger on DeAndre Swift here. I think this is great value at the end of the fifth. I think he's an RB2 that I'm going to be able to play as a flex. So I'm going to lock that pick in right away. When you're at the turn, you don't have to consider which one you take first and second. Then I'm feeling like I really, really need to keep balancing out this roster. Because of the way the draft board's falling to me, I'm kind of getting a running back and a wide receiver at every turn, which is totally fine. Colston Loveland would be of interest to me here, but I just drafted DeAndre Swift, so just like David was talking about with a wide receiver and a running back, I don't really want a tight end and a running back from the same offense. So I'm looking at who's available now. There's a couple quarterbacks on the board. This is far too early for Drake May, in my opinion. Joe Burrow's there. I'm only really interested in Joe Burrow at this range if I have Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. So I'm going to skip the quarterback at this range for sure. I'm going to scroll down to the guys who may be available when we get to the next turn for me. It's pretty picked over at running back. Chuba Hubbard, Ramondre Stevenson. There's some wide receivers I like in this range. Christian Watson could slip to me. I like him a lot. Parker Washington, big Parker Washington guy. I actually think that DK Metcalf's becoming a value in drafts. I think he's going too late, considering his upside, especially with Pittman there to open things up a little bit more for him this year. So I definitely like the wide receivers available at the next turn for me more than I like the running backs. And so I think in order to make sure that I feel locked in and comfortable with my running back room, I'm going to take a flyer on a high upside guy that I know I won't feel the pressure to play right away because of the fact that I'm already 3 running backs deep on my team. So I'm going to take Jadarian Price from Seattle.
Bro, I thought there was a chance he'd get back to me, and that was 100% my pick. So that's awesome.
Solid RB2 available for you there, David. It paid off.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I went Jadarian Price, Trebo Henderson, Colston Loveland, Terry McLaurin, Drake May, Joe Burrow, Devontae Adams go in front of David. And David's risk, in my opinion, paid off because Bashal Tootin is there for you.
Yes, I was hoping to get Tootin back to me or Jadarian Price. Drew went Price, and a lot of running backs actually didn't go. So right away, we're going to take Tootin. Can't worry about the people between me. Like I said, they each have 2 running backs, but one of them has 2 receivers, and one of them has 1 receiver. So if I had to guess, I would say Team 2 probably goes receiver next. But they also could
Don't
be
be Team 2 and draft 2 onesies.
Flex. Yes, correct. So, yes, let's just get Bashal Tootin out of the way. Team 2 doesn't want to make its second pick.
Doesn't want to make a pick. I'm not sure what's going on there.
If you click on it, Drew, and you press, let CPU auto pick it.
There we go.
All right,
good call, David. 3 wide receivers and only 1 running back go. And I think a nice wide receiver fell to you if you decide to go wide receiver, but
yeah, so to me right here, there's a few options. I'm looking at quarterback. Feel pretty comfortable about either Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels in the 7th round. I think both of them are really good fantasy quarterbacks. I don't really love any of these running backs. I'd rather just wait, take some guys I feel safe about. And then at receiver, I would consider DJ Moore or Carnell Tate. I think just because I have four receivers to start, I don't feel the need to take a fifth right now. So I am going to take, let me just check my rankings to make sure this is lining up with what I have. I do have Jaden.
If you're going Jaden Daniels here, I think this is excellent value on him.
I was going to say, I am taking Jaden Daniels. I have him one spot higher than Hurts. Like I said, I'd be comfortable with either one here, but Jaden Daniels is my, I believe, quarterback 3. So I think really good value here.
Yeah, I love that pick, David. For going so wide receiver heavy early, I'm liking how your team is shaping up. Rome Odunze goes after David, then Carnell Tate, Tucker Kraft, DJ Moore, Chuba Hubbard, and unfortunately for me, Jalen Hurts goes one pick before. I was very interested in Jalen Hurts there at the turn. This is a really easy pick for me. I went running back heavy out the gate. I have Ashton Genty, Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, who I'm very comfortable about playing right away from the start. Jadarian Price, I love his upside as the season builds. Not really wanting to have him in my starting lineup week 1. So I'm feeling like I need to get 1 or 2 more players here that I feel comfortable flexing right away to start the year. And 2 guys that I really, really love. Both are going to be available to me here. So that is an awesome turn of events for me. So I'm going to lock those picks in. It's Christian Watson, wide receiver from the Packers. Love his upside this year. And then the guy we've talked a lot about on the episode already, I'm going to lock in Parker Washington as well. 2 guys that I think you can flex every single week and takes all the pressure off of me trying to feel like I have to play Jadarian Price.
That BTJ was ranked right next to Parker Washington, and he's not even on the field for 2 wide receiver sets.
Right? So that's what I'm talking about with the possible value on Jacoby Myers too, right? Like he's significantly lower, but I think he's number 2. So I go Watson and Parker Washington, really liking how my team is shaping up to start here. Couple more wide or quarterbacks go off the board. Caleb Williams and Justin Herbert. Kyle Pitts also went. Jordan Tyson goes in the 8th round. It's a little early for me given his injuries. DK Metcalf, then Sam LaPorta, and David is back on the clock. He's got 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and Jaden Daniels at quarterback.
Yeah, back on the clock here, and not a range where I'm loving the players. I am glad I went quarterback though because a couple more did go, and like I said, Daniel's great value. I didn't mention it. Drew did. The reason I didn't even consider Jaden Daniels with my first pick there because the 2 teams before me both had quarterbacks, so I was really really comfortable with taking Tootin and waiting because I knew if I wanted Daniels, he would still be there. So on the clock
Good
now.
draft strategy that we're talking about when you're near but not at the turn.
Correct. And then looking at the board, feeling like I kind of need an RB3. Don't love the options.
I was going to say it's rough in the streets.
But looking at receiver, don't necessarily love the receivers here.
I don't like anybody here.
Yeah, it's tough range. And just for that reason, I think I might just take a depth running back. Just because I don't have a third right now. And if I don't love any of the players, it's better for me to take something at a position of need that has a chance. The question being, who is the best pick here for me?
You want my opinion?
Gee,
Probably
golly.
not, but
I mean, you can give it to me. It won't affect what I'm going to do.
I would be in this. If this was my pick, I'd be snagging J.K. Dobbins and then making sure I got Jonah Coleman later. But
I think that's probably a good call. Oh man, he's just gonna get hurt.
I'm gonna let David. I'm gonna let David draft his own team.
For me,
though.
it's
I'm
between
talking too
him.
much.
Golly, it's between me. It's me. It's between J.K. Dobbins. I would consider Ramondre just because I think the workload will be there. Not looking at my none guy here. Too early for Brooks. Dowdle, I don't love splitting. Harvey somehow is ranked ahead of J.K. Dobbins. Uh,
Jonathan Brooks is there too as well in the 8th. And you can
yeah,
probably get him in the 9th with your next pick.
yeah. So for me, I know I just said that, but I'm actually gonna pivot to wide receiver because
The
I'm
running
realizing I
backs were
don't
so
like these
bad that
running
David said
backs.
no.
So looking at receiver, I'm looking at Michael Wilson here. I'm also considering Chris Godwin with that upside with the injury to Egbuka. So those are probably the two guys I am looking at here. I think I'm gonna take. I think I'm gonna go Michael Wilson. If Jacoby Brissett is playing quarterback, I think Michael Wilson will be a good option to flex on bye weeks or even potentially over some of the other guys. But I gotta say the Godwin appeal is right there as well. Kind of a coin flip for me between the two. I'm gonna go Michael Wilson just because I haven't had a lot of shares of Michael Wilson in any drafts. Just want to get my hands on him once. Um, Unfortunately, I have to make another pick in this range.
Ramondre
Um,
Stevenson, Brian Thomas, Harold Fannin, and Tony Pollard go. I would have actually considered Harold Fannin at your pick too. I didn't say that, but I think 9th round is good value on Harold Fannin.
yeah, and that's fair enough. And then looking at this pick, I think a little bit of a surprise here, but someone that's come up my board. I am going to take Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I'm feeling very comfortable about him being the RB1 in that offense, especially with the injury to Rashad White, which we actually didn't talk about in our injuries. I believe was it a groin or a hamstring? Do you know?
Hamstring.
He hurt himself what looks like doing the ice bucket challenge for Chris Johnson, which is pretty sad. Sorry to hear that for you, doing it for a good cause, and then he slipped. So hopefully he can get back. But I think oh my goodness, JCM. I don't know why I just
Wow, David,
struggled.
that was really bad.
JCM is a good value there as someone that I project to be the RB1 in his offense. And you could tell they wanted him to be last year because they kept giving him the ball and he looked good from time to time. So I feel pretty comfortable. Kind of completely pivoted my opinion on the Washington Commanders backfield. But there we go.
Yep, I'm back on the clock at the turn. Dak Prescott went. The only thing about the JCM pick, David, is you do have Jaden Daniels. But again, depth running back, I think it's still worth it. He was the best available running back there, in my opinion.
And I feel better having the running back and a quarterback than having a receiver and a quarterback.
A receiver and a running back.
And a running back.
We love receiver quarterback stats.
There still is the chance where like he can catch touchdowns too. A quarterback and a running back, or a receiver and a running back, are never scoring on the same play. So you're extremely capping your upside. I don't love taking a running back, but if I project him to get a little bit of pass catch work, which I don't know if he even will, but there's still the chance. And you account for most rushing touchdowns on the team when you do that instead of, like I said, when you're doing receiver, running back, you're making it so you can't score from both on one play.
Yep, 100%. Totally true. I agree with you on that. I'm kind of torn here. There's 3 guys that I'm interested in. So I'm interested to get David's thoughts. I'm actually interested in Kyle Monangai here as the DeAndre Swift manager. In this scenario, there's no pressure to play Monangai at all right away. I have lots and lots of depth already because I've punted quarterback and tight end. And if an injury was to happen to one of them, I think the other one would be awesome. Or will be awesome in the case of Monangai kind of already injured. So that pick is interesting to me exclusively because I'm the DeAndre Swift manager. I'm thinking quarterback here a little bit, not surprisingly. There's always the upside shot on Jackson Dart here, which I think in the 9th or 10th round is good value probably to take that upside shot. And then, as David alluded to at his pick, I also really like Chris Godwin a lot here. I think he's super, super good value as well. And so, between those three guys, I'm curious to know what David's thinking.
Um, I would say if I was you, I wouldn't take Monangai. I don't think. Um, if they're both healthy, it just puts you in a pickle. Obviously, if one gets
I don't think
hurt,
it does. If they're both healthy, it's always Swift.
that's fair. I would consider Brooks here for sure if I were you. And then
You know my rule:
no Panthers.
zero Panthers.
So yeah. Um, Remind me again of the guys you're considering.
Godwin and Dart.
Yeah, I think here's a good value on Dart for sure as one of your picks. So he would be easy for me.
Fair enough. I'm just a little scared to let Chris Godwin flow through. I'm gonna
Who's
take
your
a.
other pick gonna be? Because you got two.
I'm taking Manungai. I decided on that one.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
can lock that pick in. I just like to have the insurance on Swift, and I feel like it's a timeshare where I know who the 1A is.
To me, at the quarterback position, there's only one quarterback left with the upside to be elite, like that level of elite, and it's Dart.
Yep.
So
I agree with you there. The other thing I'm considering on the quarterback, though, is just completely punting it and building that Kyler Murray, Justin Jefferson stack. Um, so that's something I'm considering. I'm a little hesitant to let Godwin's value slide through here. Like 10th round on Godwin is crazy. But I am looking at kind of who's going to be available at my next pick, most likely. And I do think that um, there's some decent upside wide receivers I like around there. Concepcion is a rookie. Um, I think that there's a chance that like a Quentin Johnston, Jaden Reed type player falls to me. There's also some running backs around there I don't mind. Jordan Mason, stuff like that. Um, I honestly don't mind some of the quarterbacks available there. Like Bo Nix is severely underrated in my opinion. He was the QB7 last year, and they went and got him Jalen Waddle. I think that there's a chance that Bo Nix is a really excellent draft pick this year. Um, so if I did decide to go with Godwin here and not take Dart, I think that that would be just fine. Um, but I think I'm not going to let the possible upside of Dart slip past me here. Um, this may be a situation where I draft a second quarterback because I don't love Dart, but I think this late it's fine to take the shot on the upside. So I go Dart and Kyle Manungai at the turn. Alec Pierce, Blake Corum, Jonathan Brooks, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, and Quentin Johnston go. I'm sure David was disappointed that Chris Godwin slipped through
I
there.
wanted either one of Chris Godwin or Quentin Johnston because I think after them there's a big drop off at receiver.
David is up here. He's on the clock, and we'll see what he does.
Yeah, so I have not. I kind of feel like I have options here. I am going to grab a running back with one of the picks. The two teams between me, the only thing I know is that either one of them should take a tight end or quarterback. Not really relevant to me right now.
David wants
Um,
Isaiah Likely for those of you who don't know.
so I know for sure I want Jordan Mason, so he's going to be my first pick. I want to make sure I secure him.
Good pick.
Unfortunately, I really wanted Jaden Reed to fall to me, and he did not. So now I need to reconsider what I have going on there. Unfortunately, I said I had a tier gap after Chris Godwin and Quentin Johnston. Jaden Reed was kind of in there as well, but Jordan Mason, a lot, a lot better pick for my team, I think. Waiting on running back, I would feel pretty comfortable about putting Jordan Mason in my lineup week one. I feel like he's a safe floor RB2. And then looking back at the board, there's some tight ends up there. Like I said, they shouldn't take a tight end, and of course, Team 2 took a tight end. There's the AI and people in your league are probably pretty stupid, and some of them will do the same thing. Sorry for the
Oh yeah, drafting two
blunt words.
quarterbacks and two tight ends, people do it all the time, even though it's one of our rules. Go
Yeah,
check out the tips and tricks
so
episode.
we talked about, oh man, what was I gonna say? Hey, just trying to think what I want to do here. Sorry, guys.
I'd be taking
Um,
Isaiah Likely if I was you. 11th round. It's time to. I'm comfortable starting to shoot tight end at this point, but that's up to you.
yeah, I probably should with how many have gone. Don't want to end up screwed. There's a couple young guys I like.
Well, I would never tell you this on our
Um,
actual draft day, but if you let Isaiah Likely get to me and I can stack it with Dart, um, you will not get him.
yeah, I'm just trying to see what else is there. Yeah,
I
it's
would
fair enough.
love the ability to stack
Yeah.
Isaiah Likely and
So I
Jackson Dart.
will take Likely just because nobody here I love. There's some guys I like the upside on. Just hopefully one or two of them fall back to me. Was worried about tight ends
Fair.
starting to go. Part of that is sleeper draft logic, but yeah,
Yeah, and Likely wouldn't have made it back to you. Like you knew that, I think, with me, but it was yeah. If there was somebody else you felt confident in and you could pass on him. Um, After Likely, George Kittle, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Downs, Jacoby Myers. See, Jacoby Myers going this much later than Brian Thomas
he
makes
was one of
no
the guys
sense.
I thought about for sure as well.
Yeah, pieces of the Jacksonville offense, I think, is a smart strategy. And David and I both have pieces in this mock draft, so we can back that up. David's got Tootin the running back, and I've got Parker Washington the wide receiver. Um, then Dalton Kincaid. For some reason, number 9 doesn't want to pick. They go Matt Stafford.
He had picked on
Um,
mine, and then he changed his pick when you did that.
really, it wasn't selected on mine.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to who it was, but it changed from like
Um,
a receiver or running back to quarterback.
so looking at the draft board here for me, I really don't love the players available at all. I'm not a Michael Pittman believer. I don't want the wide receiver 2 on the Steelers. The wide receiver 1's gonna be borderline fantasy relevant. I think starting relevant. I think Metcalf is a good role player on your team, but he's not a star. Um, Aaron Jones is available. I'm not really super big on taking 31-year-old running backs, and I think Jordan Mason is a better running back at this point in their career, given the system as well. Kenny Gainwell, I see a lot of people grabbing him and just being like, he's going to be like last year, he's going to catch a ton of passes. We'll see. The new system, new team, new everything kind of scares me about him as well. So yeah,
And
I'm just
it's
not loving.
important. Bucky Irving is a good receiving back, so the upside for the receptions, they'll use him some.
Jalen Warren's a good receiving back too, though, and that didn't seem to matter last year. But
Yeah, that's fair.
to be fair, Kenny Gainwell was not a running back last year. He was the Steelers' number 1 receiver, which is crazy. We needed Pittman. Um, so for me, it's really easy here, actually. The first thing I'm going to do is in the 11th, I'm ready to scoop up my tight end. With the Mekhi Lemon injury, I'm very, very comfortable this late with Dallas Goedert. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Dallas Goedert as my tight end with my first pick. And then at this point in the draft, this is where I start shotgunning and spraying. I start to leave the draft board and the ADP board behind, and I start targeting guys that I like. And so, as you guys can see on the screen, I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling, and that's because I want this guy right here, Deshaun Stribling. Pittman, Purdy, Gainwell, Bo Nix. Bo Nix in the 12th is crazy. Um, Wandale Robinson, Stephon Diggs go before David, and David is on the clock.
Yeah, my thing's frozen. Hold on. What the freak?
Well, you can use
There we
the
go.
okay.
So I'm back on the clock here. At this point for me, it's taking shots on people I think have upside, like Drew just said, taking ADP out of the question. picking up Jonah Coleman, who I think has a path to the RB1 with my first pick.
I like that pick. And before you talk this next pick, this is the point in the draft for me, guys, where I start queuing guys that are way down the draft board that I like, that I want to take, so I don't have to scroll and find them. I'm not going to do that in this mock because David's in the mock with me and he can see my draft board. But just so you guys know, this is when I start queuing up late round guys that I'm interested in.
Yeah, and then looking
Golden,
at my
Jones, Concepcion, and Rashad White go, and David is back on the clock.
yeah, probably would have taken Matthew Golden if he got back to me. Hoping for a second year breakout for him fantasy wise, not as a Vikings fan. Continuing on the path of taking people I think have upside. I would strongly consider Chris Rodriguez here. If I didn't have Tootin, even with Tootin, I am. I'm going to go upside instead. I'm going to take a shot on Jacoby Lane, especially with this recent news of domestic violence by Minnesota's own Rashad Bateman. We'll see what ends up happening with that. But I think Jacoby Lane is very talented, and he has more upside than probably anybody that was in that range. So I feel pretty comfortable taking a shot on him.
Yep, I like that a lot. Jacoby Lane hype train is loud in Baltimore as well. Um,
And
Zach
that will be my
Charbonnet,
last pick because I'm not going to draft defense kicker on the mock, and it makes us pick those. So wrap it up with that for me. And this will be Drew's last pick right here.
good point. Zach Charbonnet, Xavier Worthy, Gadsden, Andrews, Tyler Algier, and Tyrone Tracy go. I kind of have two strategies here. I don't really, at this point, there's not running backs to me that have the upside to become valuable guys. For me, it's all the value is hidden in the situation if the guy in front of them was to go down. For that reason, I really Tank Bigsby is like my favorite handcuff in the entire NFL this year. If something was to happen to Saquon Barkley, Tank Bigsby is gonna get all the work. So I like the idea of Tank Bigsby here. Also, really like the idea of a Kalen Black if something was to happen to CMC. So I'm thinking in that realm. If I go running back, if I go wide receiver, I'm thinking young upside guys.
To me, it's Kalen Black here for you, especially with the lingering information about CMC. I don't see why you don't take a shot on him with the last pick. Obviously, those other
That's
guys are
true.
hitting waivers.
The other guy I'm looking at though is rookie out of Kansas City, Cyrus Allen. A lot of hype about him as well. Since I went stribbling and I grabbed a young receiver already, I am gonna follow David's advice here, and I'm gonna draft a handcuff running back who's also a rookie, so there could be some
I
upside
think
there
to
as
me
well.
it's easy here if I was Drew, just because it's the last pick in this, and the other guys would be available after the draft. So
Right,
no reason to not take the one that has week one potential.
correct, and I totally agree, and that's why I'll take him here. And then I know David and I said we wouldn't talk kickers and defense that much. Nobody's taking a kicker yet, so I'd be taking Brandon Aubrey here for sure. He's the most valuable kicker. And then with defenses, like David and I said in our tips and tricks episode, please be targeting the week one matchups and do not be targeting the rankings. So really, really like the first week matchups for the Jaguars. They take on Cleveland, which I think is a great matchup. The Steelers have Atlanta and Tua turn the ball over. So a lot of opportunities for sacks and turnovers there. The Chargers have a great 2-game start. They play Arizona and Las Vegas. So I love targeting the Chargers there as well. And then I also really like coming out with the Chicago Bears as they start against the team that I refuse to draft a player from because they're so bad, the Carolina Panthers. So those are kind of the defenses I'm targeting when I get in the draft. And like I said, kicker is more valuable than defense, so I would definitely be taking Brandon Aubrey here if we were continuing the draft. So yeah, anything to add, David?
Not on the fantasy or on the mock draft side of things. No,
Okay, so
pretty happy
let's
with how my team turned out,
yeah,
considering
go ahead and
that I waited.
share your roster for
Let me
everybody.
just pull that up for you guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, so my quarterback's Jaden Daniels. I got Kenneth Walker and Bayshul Tootin at running back. Puka Nakua, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Lad McConkey are my receivers and 2 flex spots. And then Isaiah Likely's my starting tight end. I picked up Michael Wilson and Jacoby Lane as bench receivers, and then my bench running backs with potential to play at flex are JCM, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Had a little easier time saying it that time than the first time. And then,
Bill.
yeah, also known as Bill. And then I also picked up Jordan Mason as a very safe opportunity play at RB2, and then upside with Jonah Coleman.
I like it. I like it. I've got Jackson Dart at quarterback. Ashton Genty, Javonte Williams are my 2 starting running backs. Justin Jefferson and Zay Flowers are my 2 starting wide receivers. I've got Dallas Goedert at the tight end position. I've got DeAndre Swift and Jadarian Price in at the flex right now. As I kind of alluded to on the draft, I probably wouldn't be starting Jadarian Price week 1 with this particular build. And that's why I drafted some really wide receivers on the bench that I really, really like. Christian Watson, Parker Washington, and 49ers rookie Dejon Stribling. And then I went for a little bit of some insurance at running back. I took Kyle Monangai as the DeAndre Swift manager, just so that I kind of have a monopoly on the Bears locker room. And I took Kalen Black just in case there's any fire to this Christian McCaffrey smoke. I didn't really feel the need to fill out my bench with a ton of running backs because I feel like I've got 4 excellent ones in a league where I really only have to start 2. So that's kind of why I built my roster that way. I'm really, really happy with that roster. If I can walk away with a team similar to that in my big money league, David, I will be very happy.
Yeah, talking about Stribling, I gotta say, we all messed up in Dynasty, by the way. He went undrafted in our Dynasty startup, I think.
We drafted so early. The hype train wasn't
But I'm
going
just
yet.
realizing he was the 33rd pick of the draft, and he went undrafted. He was essentially a first round pick. And somehow I don't know how he was so
I think because at the time we drafted, dude, he was buried on the depth chart and they didn't have all those injuries.
I know, but I'm just saying,
Like
you don't draft
Ricky
a receiver
Pearsall.
at 33rd if you don't have plans for him. And so I'm saying that we all overlooked it completely. It was probably not the brightest of us, and Jack got a
Oh,
really nice
oh,
pickup.
for sure, for sure.
Because
I
if
agree
he's getting drafted
100%.
in redraft
I just
leagues,
think
the
he's
fact
one of
that he
those
went
people that
undrafted in
hindsight.
a dynasty league is pretty embarrassing for us.
I just think he's one of those people though where hindsight's 2020. Like his hype train the last week and a half has been insane.
I just can't believe we overlooked the draft capital on him. Like he should have been picked for sure, even if there
Yeah,
was people in front of him.
true, true. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. Um, went a little long on this episode. Sorry, guys. Just felt like it was really important to talk through that injury news before we moved into the mock draft. We will be doing mock draft again for our next episode, helping you guys prepare for your drafts coming up. We'll be doing a 12-team mock so that you guys who are in 12-team leagues can get a little insight into the strategy there. And David and I will also be going by random pick, so we don't know what pick we'll be drafting from like we did today, so that you guys can kind of see how we would approach a draft where we didn't know right up until it started. So really looking forward to doing that with you guys on the next episode. Once again, these episodes are dropping over on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, the Fantasy Facts Podcast. We are on X at The Fantasy Facts, TikTok and Instagram, fantasy.facts. As always, facts is spelled F-A-X. And before I sign off, I'm going to let David close with our Bible verse segment that we always do. And then we will see you all on episode number 14.
Yeah, today I chose Matthew 5:17, which says, "Do not think that I came to destroy the law of or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. This was said by Jesus. Obviously, Jesus did come to die for our sins, and because of that, no matter what we do, as long as we put our faith in Jesus, we will be saved. But it's a good reminder, like there's all these laws in the Old Testament and ways that God commanded us to live by. And while in a way Jesus did abolish or destroy that by his sacrifice, it's a reminder that he truly didn't come to do that, but to fulfill all the prophecies about him dying for our sins. And so it's a reminder that we should be aware as Christians how we live, how we choose to present ourselves, how we just go about our daily life and living a way that God intended for us. Of course, that doesn't mean certain silly things that it talks about in the Old Testament that aren't applicable to today's life. But some things, just with how we treat each other, and then other commandments for God's plan for us, and just trying to live through those ways. But yeah, just a reminder, Jesus did come, and if you put your faith in him, you will be saved. But to try to live our lives in the most Christ-like way, how we treat others, and just how we make choices, what we do with our lives. Because in Jesus' own words, he did not come to destroy, but to fulfill, meaning we should still try to follow those things to the best of our abilities. Of course, we'll all fall short, and that's the beauty of Jesus' sacrifice. And like I said last time, if you haven't made that decision to follow Jesus, I really encourage you to look into it and just say a quick prayer, accepting Jesus into your heart as your Lord and Savior. And it's really all it takes. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks, David. I'm going to sign off the show here. I already dropped the socials, already hinted at the next episode, so we will see you all on episode 14. Stay safe, y'all. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday.